Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Welcome to New Life Live. This is Chris Williams in studio for Steve today. I have with me Dr. Sheri Keffer.
Hey, it's great to be with you.
How you doing today?
I'm well. I'm better than I'm with you and all our listeners.
Absolutely. And hopefully joining us today will also be Becky Brown. But I think we may be having a few technical difficulties, but hopefully we can get her on soon. Sheri, we got this update yesterday, and it is this remarkable thing here in California, and that is that the mask mandate will no longer be in schools. And beyond any controversies around this, this really is for us in our household an indication that this massive disruption caused by the coronavirus and the pandemic is really starting to fade, and we're getting back into our busy lives as usual. So I have a question for you. What do we take with us that the pandemic taught us, and what do we leave behind?
Well, I'm glad we're leaving the masks behind, right? I think what we're going to take with us, any type of trauma, actually, if we get the right care, if we do our work, if we face whatever feelings came up during the pandemic, and we do something about them now to heal, we can actually walk away with something called post-traumatic growth.
Well, tell us more about post-traumatic growth.
Yeah. Well, and you've probably noticed this in your practice. I know I have. There's been a huge increase in anxiety. I think people that normally may have never had anxiety before have it for the first time. Some that were already kind of anxious have more. There's been a lot of losses, a lot of deaths, But yet all that doesn't have to cripple us. It doesn't have to make us weaker. It actually builds strength.
Yes.
It builds resiliency. It's like, it's like working out for a marathon. If you sit on the couch every day and you don't get up and walk, right, then you're not going to really tone your muscles. But if you get up and walk and then you start jogging and then you're preparing for some kind of a triathlon or something, your body changes. Well, that happens on the inside. It happens to our heart, our soul, our minds. They can get stronger. And so I'm noticing that people that are coming through this actually are having greater strength. And you don't even really know that until something bad happens in your world and you're like, okay, I've grown from this other situation, the pandemic, and so this challenge that I'm confronted with right now, I have new skills.
Yes. Well, and really, I have seen that, and it is about doing the work and working out. What that means is addressing and understanding our emotions, understanding our responses, because when we're living in pain and trauma and disruption, and we don't have a whole lot of resiliency or growth, then our capacity is very small. And everyday reality life can really throw us off. And so we don't have either the bounce back ability, or we don't have the ability to confront the reality sitting in front of us. And I've just seen over and over as people engage in the work, people work through it, don't give up, don't give in to the despair and the fear, they do build that muscle. And the result of that muscle is an ability to do reality well.
Yeah, love it.
And it's one of the, Henry Cloud's definitions of integrity that I love so much. It is the character to face reality well. And I think that that's really what we're going for here, and that's what it means.
Hi, Chris and Sheri.
Hey, there she is.
Hey,
I've been engrossed in your conversation, and you have been so enlightening. And I know that everybody listening heard so much good information. But we're going to come back and answer some calls for a couple hours. So we are going to be right back.
it had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
After 7 years, just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
Now the workshop is coming to Columbus, Ohio, April 8th to the 10th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. It's Becky Brown with Chris Williams and Dr. Sheri Keffer. And sorry for that delay, but I really was listening to everything that you guys were saying.
That's okay.
It's good to have you.
I wanted to mention one thing. You know what I really appreciate too is I appreciate people's smiles and faces.
Yes.
I have been, you know how that's post-traumatic growth. Before then, we saw people's faces and smiles and it didn't really matter. Now, it's like this reset. It's like, wow, good to see you.
Yes.
And you smile back. I think people are enjoying being able to see faces again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agree. And I like seeing both of your faces. We're gonna take a caller though right now. We're gonna go to Bonnie, who's calling us from Wava in Washington, D.C. Hi, Bonnie. I'm glad you called today. How can we help you?
Hi. How are you all today?
Good.
Good. I thank you for taking my call. I called last week and blessed to be able to get back on here. And when I called the other day, and I believe Sheri was on there and Steve, and you all had advised me to send a letter to my 28-year-old daughter, whose birthday is coming up anyway on the 9th, and so I was going to include this particular letter to her in the birthday card. But part of this dilemma is that she has asked me not to contact her that way. And so I'm taking a chance on sending the birthday card, obviously, and the letter. But what if she does not respond?
Well, what's the letter say?
So the letter is going to have something about, I have to listen to the 50, actually remember everything that Steve was saying, advising in the letter to say. But something to the degree about sorry for not, I want to say listening, but sorry for not taking into account or like not listening to what you really have to say and just being pretty much like a listener to her and whatever she went through, what caused her trauma in her childhood and between us.
So I would have you, if you're going to do that, instead of saying I'm sorry, I call those cheap sorries because it's easy to say I'm sorry, and I would rather you say be more honest. Like I remember how I was too busy focusing in on my job, and I wasn't there for you. I remember when you really needed me. And I told you I wanted you to talk to a therapist because I really didn't want to open that situation up, that conversation. I remember the time that we were in the kitchen standing there, and I could see you were hurting, but I didn't ask. And that was wrong of me. I didn't ask, and I hurt you by not asking. Do you see how I'm giving you specific examples? And don't give too many.
Yeah.
But if you think of 2 or 3, big like situations where you're falling on your sword.
Got it.
Is
and
gonna.
That I can remember because there are things she's brought up that I'm like totally clueless, but it's her world, and I understand that part that she going to experience this.
Sheri, along with that same line, wouldn't it be great for Bonnie to say, I remember you telling me about thus and such.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that. And then go in that direction, Bonnie, because a lot of times we will judge what they're presenting as their story, but it is their story, and we need to be curious and we need to know more about it. And that can be a really great way of connecting with her.
And I would even say this, instead of, even in your mindset, I want you to move from it's her story to it's her pain. It's her pain.
That's good.
Right. Definitely.
Because her story is kind of like, yeah, it's her perspective. It's her story.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of something happened to her which caused her harm. And you've been on the other side of that. And you need to slow down. I'm working with a mom and daughter, and that's what's happening in the room. And the mom keeps going into defending and fixing and trying to, state her point of view. And I'm saying that is not comforting. That is causing your daughter to feel minimized. It's squishing the care instead of really listening and saying, tell me more. And you can't do that in a letter, right? But it's having that posture.
Right. Of a lot of humility.
A ton. But it's ownership, really.
Yeah. And, And really, that's we were talking about the work at the top of the show. And that is the work, is building the resiliency to stick in hard conversations, even when we feel misunderstood and misrepresented, even when we want to state our point of view and make a correction. If we can, as you're saying, Becky, slow it down. And as you said, Sheri, listen for the pain, because that's going to be the connection point.
Well, and I would ask, Bonnie, what kind of work are you doing on your own so that you're ready for whatever she has to say to you?
I don't know if she'll respond is the thing, because part of that background was that she has told me, do not contact me, don't contact my family. And the only in I have had in the past or have had is sending postcards to my grandsons. And I did send her texts, but I guess it got, I don't know, too overwhelming for her or whatever. But
okay. Well, what I mean,
but that's it.
Well, but what I mean, Bonnie, is your own healing, whether it's counseling, whether you're in a group, whether you're doing some personal work, so that when you do ever have the opportunity, that you're ready, because we want to get rid of the defenses. We want to get our own stuff settled down so we can hear what she needs to say.
My own work that I've been able to do, I wish I could afford a therapist. I have not been able to, so I've been accessing what I can on YouTube. I don't know if I can give names, but I've been looking up childhood trauma and stuff like that.
But you know what? That's
been going to Celebrate Recovery.
Yeah.
Well, Celebrate Recovery, you're talking about listening to it, or see, this is what you really need. Is you need to engage with a human being, because if you're just in a listening, learning mode, that's good. I would say keep doing that. But somewhere you've got to find somebody, even if it's late.
Right. The Celebrate Recovery is actually going to the meetings and the circle of the women and
perfect. And
your part.
Do you have a sponsor?
No.
Okay.
I have not gotten a sponsor.
I want
Not
want you to get a sponsor, because you know what a sponsor is? Because I love Celebrate Recovery, but they don't allow crosstalk. I love a sponsor because you know what a sponsor does? A sponsor's going to talk to you. They're going to crosstalk with you. They're going to help you to see your blind spots. They're going to help you to see how you go into fixing and controlling, and your anxiety tries to change people. And and you need practice. We all need practice. I needed practice. Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Bonnie. I just think that that's a good way to start until you have the ability to access her personally and directly. We're going to send you a copy of the Life Recovery Bible, unless you guys have another.
Can we send her the Emotional Freedom Workbook?
Great idea.
And I have one more thing, because we didn't answer your question. The question was, what if she doesn't respond? And the answer is, let that go. That is even fixing, right? If you've got a hook and what you're sending to her, you're going down the wrong street. This note in this birthday card, if it was the last time you'd ever talk to her, last time you'd ever be honest with her, be that way, and then you're going to need to let it go and give her to God. Trust the process, so that you don't end up getting more angry if she doesn't respond. She doesn't need to respond. It's her choice if she wants to.
That's a great word, Sheri. Thanks so much, Bonnie, for calling. Now we're going to talk to Charlie, who's calling us from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and listens on the podcast. And you can too, if you want to download it and listen. We would love to have you there as well. But Charlie, how can we help you today?
Well, hi, guys. My question is the book Intimate Deception appropriate for men?
Well, you're in luck because Sheri's here.
Hey, can I answer?
I knew that. That's what I heard.
Can I answer that first, actually?
Sure.
Yes, you may.
When the book came out and I was reading it, the first client I gave it to was a male client whose wife was just spinning out in her own sexual brokenness and infidelity. And it was tremendously helpful for him, because he understood what was happening inside of him that he didn't have words for.
And you know what, Charlie, the first thing I want to do is hear a little piece of your story, because, it hurts. Betrayal hurts. And I've had a number of men reach out to me. I've worked with men as clients. And I love that I've had some, because my research was done with women. So I want you to read it really for what makes sense to you in it. There's a lot of trauma stuff and all that, and much of it will fit. But there are some things that men told me that weren't in there. Like I didn't really go deeply into some of their emotions of anger, or some of their emotions of protecting. Like oftentimes when the man is with a woman who's had the affair, they will feel so split screen because they want to protect her from something happening to her, but they're upset and hurt at the same time.
Yeah.
And sometimes they protect instead of putting their own boundaries down. And so there are some unique differences as I've worked with men. But what's your story? Where are you at in your betrayal?
Well, it's actually slightly embarrassing to say this. The betrayal happened years ago. I mean, well over 30 years ago. And very briefly, my wife at the time, we were pretty young, came home one day out of the blue without any clue and said, "Hey, I've met another man. I'm leaving you today, right now."
Wow.
Which is, it's kind of up there with someone coming in and chopping your leg off in terms of the shock and numbness. And it got worse. She came back the next day and said, "Well, I can't leave you this way." So she proceeded to basically date this guy. Well, she lived with me for a year and then left for good.
Wow.
So that was, and at the time we didn't understand trauma. It wasn't described as trauma. It was one of those, just get on with your life, move on, blah, 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 which I did. And I realized that well over many years ago that I got through it, but I never got over it.
No.
Since I've been listening to your program for so long, I realized that, that's trauma, and that's why things just kind of keep coming up now and again.
Yeah.
So, and since I'm in a tiny little state called New Mexico where resources are very limited, I thought, well, maybe I could start with the book, and that would give me some insight and just sort of help heal a couple of those little things that come up, the self-worth and
well, we'll definitely send you a copy. Triggers. We'll definitely send you a copy of that, Charlie. Sheri or Chris, why don't you speak to him about those things that are happening now that feel like they're 30 years old? Because I'm sure we have listeners that are dealing with that same thing.
Yeah, I
guess so too.
I think Sheri could echo this as well. But when these things happen to us, they ingrain a belief, and maybe a belief that was already there from a previous hurt and pain. And so, Charlie, for me, for you, there is this idea that you can be rejectable, that you can be left behind. and that you are valuable to be with.
Yeah, it's
not good enough.
Absolutely.
And that's the number one, that number one message or shame message. And usually that happens by injuries, relational injuries that we've experienced in our childhood. And then this thing happens in our adulthood, and it puts a big rubber stamp on it. And when that rubber stamp hits our heart adopts that as its primary message. That's why it sticks with us for so long.
Yeah, I remember dating somebody, Charlie, and I was with this gentleman for 4 years, and he told me, he said, the closer I get to you, it feels like there's a python that is wrapped around your neck that is just sucking the lifeblood out of you. Because I, too, Charlie, believed I wasn't enough. And I was afraid if I let my heart go and trust somebody again, that something bad would happen and he'd leave me because I wasn't enough, which was a lie.
I'm so glad you called, Charlie. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop. A lot of people are you could literally say, in bondage from past trauma that has created an emotional web that they don't understand, and it prevents them from being free. A person that loses their temper regularly is not emotionally free. Someone who has anxiety just to get in the car and leave the house is not emotionally free. And walking around with the shame from a childhood or even a bad relationship as an adult, that is not emotional freedom, and we can help you get there.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Online Workshop is Saturday, April 30th. Steve Arterburn, Chris Williams, and Dr. Jackie Mack-Harris will present information on the power of our emotions, procrastination, guilt and shame, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or register online at newlife.com.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are going to send Charlie a copy of Sheri's book, Intimate Deception, Healing the Wounds of Betrayal. It is a great book, and you can get a copy yourself if you want to. You can go to newlife.com, or you can call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Social media gets a bad rap all the time, but I know all of us are on it, and we use it in many different ways, and New Life is there too. And I want to encourage you, if you are in any of the socials, follow us, share, all of those kind of things. Or if you see us on YouTube, click that subscribe button, and also send a favorite show to one of your friends. It's amazing what we hear from people when they hear us for the first time and they go, oh my gosh, you changed the way that I think about this particular thing. You can make a difference in somebody's life. So I just want to encourage you to do that. We're going to go to the phones again, and we're going to talk to Ann, who's calling us from Tulsa, Oklahoma. She listens on the podcast. Hi, Ann. Thanks for calling. How can we help you?
Hi. I was just wondering, or just to try to get some guidance, when you're in a marriage where, your spiritual walk is quite a bit different between you and your spouse, and it seems to cause some negative, actually just a lot of issues where, I'm further on or have been a Christian for quite some time, and I regularly seek out, doing devotionals. And it seems that anger my husband, and it seems to push him back. He says he always feels like I'm judging him or trying to point out his faults. And I'm not saying that there's not times that probably doesn't come across that way, and I try to step back and look and apologize. But, you know, we have some marital issues, and, you know, when God's not in our center, it's not really working out very well.
Well, that's a good question, Ann. Chris?
Yeah,
Sheri,
I got a follow-up question. Does your husband's anger show up in other areas?
He doesn't have any anger. He's very shut off emotionally. He's a veteran. He's had a lot of, you know, combat trauma that has probably not been addressed. And so his response is to shut down completely.
Okay. Yeah, that's really helpful. It makes a lot of sense. Because, you know, you're doing something that is healthy for you. You're growing in your relationship with God. You're pursuing, you know, that relationship and that life. And so the question for him, would be, why is that threatening? As you said, that he would feel judged. But that just means that he's carrying, we just talked about this earlier, a high level of shame and insecurity in himself, which also makes a lot of sense if he's carrying around a lot of PTSD, a lot of fear and pain as a result of what he's been through. And quite honestly, I would hope that he would be able to go into a healing process.
So, Ann, when you guys met and started dating, where was he at in his faith walk?
I hate to say I had the perception, but I mean, it's the truth, that he had a personal spiritual walk with the Lord. Mm-hmm. It was about 3 years ago when I realized that I think I'd been there was a big misconception there. I know I've asked him once, you know, have you been saved? You know, it's just so, you know, life transforming. And his reply was, yeah, I mean, I always prayed that prayer, you know, at the end of church when the pastor would pray it. And I said, and, you know, I feel like I have to tread very carefully as to not make him feel judged.
But what I'm asking is, so he would pray a prayer at the end of church. Did he pray with you? Was he leading and saying, "Hey, let's sit down and
no.
Okay. So what is it? Yeah, what is it about you now that wants him to be different than what he was?
Well, there was a period in there. He went back to do some contracting work, and I saw a big shift in our marriage, and just really felt like, I mean, we've struggled. I have a past history, and that, and I'm not, listen, I'm not trying to be blameless. Like, I get angry, I get upset, you know. I feel like a lot of times I'm battling our marriage alone, to try to save our marriage alone. So, whereas he's telling me,
Go ahead. And so he's telling you what?
That I'm causing the problems, that I'm making things up.
Okay. You know what happens sometimes when there's something that's going on, and I'm not even sure what it is, but you're aware that there's some disconnect between you two. Somehow, we think in our minds, we kind of reach for the highest power, and we reach to God, and we think, okay, if God were more in our relationship, then like trickle down, everything would be better. But it actually is the opposite. It's like we have to dig into the ground first. We have to really find out what is going on under the dirt, what's going on in our root system. Because if not, we're just trying to put a spiritual Band-Aid on a relational issue that's never been addressed.
Well, we'll come right back in and finish this call, and We'll be right back.
I'm 433 pounds.
How long have you weighed that much?
I've probably been over 300 at least 15, 20 years.
Does this sound like your story? It doesn't have to. The weight we carry on the outside is often a result of the burdens we carry on the inside. If you want to reduce your inner burden, New Life's Lose It for Life Extensive can help. The Extensive features a one-day Zoom session presented by Steve Arterburn on Saturday, March 19th, plus 5 weeks of aftercare that include a weekly group session led by your credentialed New Life Network counselor, 5 on-demand training sessions from Steve Arterburn and fitness expert Michelle Spadafora, 3 30-minute private coaching sessions from a nutrition and fitness coach, the Lose It for Life book and workbook, and exercise gear to allow you to start a home fitness routine you'll actually enjoy. If you're finally ready to stop going from diet to diet and begin a comprehensive plan that addresses the psychological, emotional, and spiritual aspects of a healthy life, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the Life Recovery Bible personal size, the 1-year Life Recovery Prayer Devotional, the New Life Journal, a New Life pen and highlighter, and a New Life zipper tote to hold it all. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. Anne has called and has a question about not being spiritually on the same page as your spouse. And Sheri, you were just kind of finishing a thought. I don't know if you want to continue. Okay.
I did. I just wanted to. So, Anne, I wish I could just give you a hug, because I can hear the fatigue in your voice, and as if you're trying to knock on the door of his heart, and he's not letting you in, right? You sense this guardedness. And with somebody who's been a veteran, I've done some EMDR work with vets who've served, and they've seen horrible things. They've had to participate in some horrible things. And what happens to their heart is it becomes numb. And go ahead. Did you say numb?
No, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I just don't, I hate to make anybody feel like, I mean, lots of times he says he doesn't feel like he fits in, and I hate that. Yeah, that's a belief that I'm different, I don't belong. And you know what? Vets often feel that, because who can they relate to? I mean, they related to those that they served with, but they often feel like they're on the outside looking in. They've got so much pain. In working with military, and I know, Chris, you've had some experience as well, right? When I'm trying to go in with eye movement desensitization reprocessing, EMDR, and I'm trying to touch a part of their heart that has a wall around it, because my hope, I know they have 1,000 tears in there. I know they have a lot of pain. I know they're hurting, but the way that they roll is in their strength and protection. And they don't naturally let people in. They don't want to burden people with the stuff that has been a part of their life. So it's kind of like going in through the side door, but I've had guys just weep in my office over what they've seen and how they feel like they've been changed through battle.
Yeah.
Right.
And so his...
and it is...
Oh, go ahead, Anne.
Well, I was just saying that, even though I a lot of times feel like, I'm not worth a fight or anything, I also have the burden of not wanting him to think that he's not worth me continuing to battle for him. But sometimes knowing what his past is and trying to stay in it mentally and emotionally when I feel very scarred.
Yeah.
Not something that he intentionally is doing, but inadvertently is, and it's just like, how do we win this battle together?
Yeah,
okay,
makes so much sense.
Yeah, so Ann, what you're doing is you're trying to manage the unmanageable. And the unmanageable is what you said, worth. Worth, again, speaks to what we were just talking about, is shame. Unworthy is the core of shame. And so with that, it's like, well, I don't want him to feel the shame, but I'm feeling the shame, and we're just spinning out and reacting against each other. Now he is shutting down in his response. And that's the way, and what I really believe that he believes is that shutting down is better than lashing out. And so I'm keeping the peace.
No, he 100% he has said that.
Okay, now inside of you, you're like, why am I getting abandoned by this man that I've committed my life to over and over and over again? Right? Yeah. He can't see that the shutdown is a form of abandonment. All of this speaks to something that is critically, critically important. The pain that you both are carrying inside of you is like, if I can go back to the war analogy, it's like the pain is landmines inside of your heart. And there's tripwires around those landmines, and you guys keep stepping over each other's landmines. And then and oftentimes we're just like, well, how do we get ourselves from stopping acting out, exploding, or shutting down? Well, the problem is you got to extract the landmines, not get rid of the tripwires. And extracting the landmines means that you got to go in and address the pain. This is what Sheri was talking about with going in and doing trauma recovery work with a trauma specialist, a person who really knows how to get to it and how to extract it out of there, and especially the beliefs that surround and get embedded in the pain itself. Beliefs like, I am unworthy.
Well, and you had even briefly mentioned, that you had a past or a history. And see, we move away from being present because of what we're bringing into the future, into the present. And isn't it just like marriage to make all the good things come out in us?
That's right. That's right.
And you started with, I love what you said, Sheri, you started with this spiritual inequality, and yet it's literally a lot of different things. It's not just that.
Right. No, it's
right.
There's a lot of depth there.
Yeah.
Well, so what have you guys done up to this point?
We've done counseling. It just never seems to produce anything. I am a gung-ho person. I have an educational background, or I have a degree in counseling, not at a master's level. So I'm always willing to put in the work. And he's more of an avid, he says he forgets about what we talk about, which becomes hurtful because it's our marriage. It's important to remember it,
But that goes back to what Sheri and Chris both have talked about with trauma. He probably does forget a lot of that because he doesn't know what to do with it. And so that's where the importance of moving forward in care will help. I'm tempted to offer her How We Love, but I'm wondering how the two of you, you think that would be a good one to start with?
I guess I do. I do. I think that would be good. And, I know that it would probably be a miracle if he ever wanted to join you at one of our marriage intensives.
Yes.
But I just, for a weekend where you guys could come and be cared for and kind of do more digging together like we just did here on the phone with you. It would be amazing.
It would be.
And Ann, I want to give you one more challenge and invitation. is that this is really, really hard to do. I'll just preface it that way. But I want you to try to depersonalize his reaction to you. Right? So his forgetfulness has too much power to determine your worthiness. And I'm like, that's giving his forgetfulness too much power over you and your well-being. And so that's going to be really hard to do, because what he does impact you, but I don't want it to determine you.
That's a good word, Chris.
I have a lot of past counselors that have tried to say, like, you have to, but I start to get angry, because I'm like, when does like demands get put on him? Not demands, but expectations. But I do understand what you're saying. And
what I'm saying is that you're powerless against his trauma and his shame.
Yeah.
There is a demand that's put on him, and he's got his work to do if he wants to come back to the world of relationship and depth.
What would you think, Anne, if you were to have him listen to this show? Because truly, you didn't even know I was going to ask you this question. But we are pro your husband. We are pro you. And maybe your husband has just never considered some of these things that go along with post-traumatic stress. And he may have never heard of EMDR. And maybe if he were to hear your heart know that you are fighting for him, we're fighting for both of you. And but we can see how someone with his heart, right, be maybe numbed out, and but there's hope and help and healing. So I don't know, it'd be kind of risky, but it'd
be worth a risk, right?
Absolutely.
Though, Sheri?
Yeah, I think it would be. It would be.
Well, stay on the line, Ann, and we'll get you connected with someone who can help you with those details. And I think we'll send you a copy of How We Love. Marriage is where histories collide.
Yes.
And presence and future. It's all the things. So we want to get you moving forward in the right way and in the right direction. And you can actually experience healing as you both deal with these things. And, we've seen it so many times, and intimacy in marriage is a good place to start. We're going to take a break, and we will be right back. But we're so glad you called, Ann, because I know there's a lot of listeners out there that are having the same sort of struggle. And it seems like it's one thing, and it kind of goes into a bunch of other things. But that's the beauty of counseling and therapy and learning and sharing life together with other people. If you have any questions and need help with this same thing, you can call us 1-800-NEW-LIFE, or you can go to newlife.com and find some great resources there. We will be right back after this break.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. It is such a privilege to be able to offer hope and help to people who are struggling in their life. And most of us struggle at one point or another. And our great family of supporters, Club New Life, is a big part of how that happens. And couldn't be more grateful. I'm wondering, is Larry in the studio with you guys?
He is not.
Oh, okay. I didn't think so, but I heard somebody cough. Is that you, Chris?
That's me. That's me. I was trying to use the cough button, but yeah, that's me.
Okay. Let me continue with, right now we have this great gift for joining Club New Life. And one of the best things about it, which is so simple, is this little bag to carry all this good stuff in. Steve's been commenting on how great the bag is, but here's what I think about the bag. It is an example of how we carry stuff around with us that can either hurt us or help us. And in this particular bag, with you join Club New Life, we will give you a Life Recovery Bible, the 1-year Life Recovery Prayer to Emotional, a New Life Journal, and a New Life pen that's also a highlighter. Oh, thanks, Chris, for being Vanna White there. And, I just want to say thank you to all of our Club New Life family that really, it makes a difference. It helps us do radio. It helps us put together our workshops. It also helps fund our call center. The giving that people give makes a difference in the lives of so many people. So I just wanted to make sure and say thank you. But also, if you want to join, you can call us 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And before the end of the show, I want to talk to another Ann who's calling us from Baltimore and listens on WAVA. Hi, Ann. How are you, and how can we help you today?
Yes, hi. Thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to pose a question for y'all because, of course, many people in my life have multiple opinions about how I'm handling a situation. I've been in a relationship for about 5 years, was engaged 2 years after starting the relationship. And then right before the pandemic, we began living together for multiple reasons, financial, and the person was traveling for work and et cetera. Both of us are Christian. He is a new Christian, new believer. But anyway, after about, I guess, this past year in 2021, decided, well, I'm not really sure, if we should get married still. I'm just really rethinking everything, etc. There's an ex-husband that causes a lot of drama on the side and a child, a middle schooler. And I'm just wondering, how long, I asked the person to move out and we could continue outside of the home because if we're not going to get married as intended, then, I just wanted that person to be able to, decide for themselves what the best way to proceed is. Many people think that the relationship should be ended and just kind of move on. It's a very good friendship, and no real issues in the relationship at all.
All right. Well,
so that's the part that's hard.
We're close to the end of the program, and I want to give Sheri and Chris some time to answer your question. I think we got a good picture of it. Sheri or Chris, whoever wants to go first.
And we started this show with a man who was betrayed, and we were just talking about what his negative belief was, and it's that I'm not enough. And I think that same belief rings true for you. The reason I think that, my dear, is because you have a man who's not wanting to be with you. But it's really hard to let him go because you have an ex-husband, right? And there's a lot of cray-cray with that. And it also causes us to feel like no one's going to want me. I'm too much. I'm too much, and I'm not enough at the same time. And that belief needs to be addressed in you. There's just a vulnerability. I can feel it. I remember my grandma, and I'm not saying this in any way to hurt you. I just remember my grandma saying, when I was a teenager, we were just talking about my body and what I was going to do with sex and stuff like that. My grandma was a very wise woman, and she repeated this statement that was out there. It says, "Why buy the cow if the milk is free?" And there was a part of you that gave yourself up to him in hoping that he would pick you, right? You guys started having sex, then you moved in together, and sadly, he came to some conclusions, but he's already had the best parts of you, and that hurts so bad. So either we hang on to a relationship that is dying, or we go back out and try to find another person who wants a cow. But you're not a cow, girl. Yeah. You are an amazing human being that is worthy of sacred connection. But you've got to figure out what about you keeps giving yourself away so cheaply.
And
well, for the past year, there's no cow.
Good. I'm glad. I love that. No cow, no Dairy Queen,
no milk.
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
And he still says I love you, and we spend great time together, have a great time together, and like literally. I can't remember if we've ever had an argument, really.
Right, but there's a reason he said, this isn't working.
Yeah, and this is what we...
The other stuff, yeah.
What we need to have a better understanding of marriage. Because, again, we come into it like getting a relationship, but that's not really actually what it ends up being. Marriage is about building a common life together. And if he's telling you that your life doesn't work to build a common life together, like, you have your answer. As painful as that is. Yeah. Because, and you are deserving. And I want to say that very clearly, especially on the heels of what Sheri said. You are deserving of a man who says that you are worth it to me in the midst of the challenges, in the midst of these circumstances, to build a common life together.
And one last thing, Ann, is that if you just said that you never fight, that's significant. That's significant. You guys have been together this long and you haven't had a fight. That means somebody's hiding.
I mean, he's avoiding.
Somebody's not showing up, and so
he's gone to counseling about that too.
Okay,
we just get along and we work well as a team, and I think it's just the outside forces around us that cause so much drama.
It's not just the outside forces, though, and you got to pay attention to that. And I also think you've got friends that are telling you it's not a good fit, and that's okay. It's just going to take some time to make that transition. What book would you guys like to send Ann?
I think Take Your Life Back.
I was thinking the same thing.
So was I.
All right. We're going to send that to you, Ann.
Never heard of that.
Good. Well, you got a whole lot coming your way.
Exactly. And I tell you, one of the challenges of all of us when we're in those situations where it feels like we can't go in any other direction but where we are, we have to listen to the people around us. We have to listen to those who are telling us, this doesn't look right. This doesn't feel right. I think, we need to move forward. But isn't that the challenge? I love what you said, Sheri. But we're not cows, and we're going to,
it's true.
We're going to take care of our pasture and all that kind of stuff. But I'm so glad you guys were here today. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Sheri, for your wisdom. And join us again next time on New Life Live. We will see you next time.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.